Hello guys, so I recently hit Grandmaster in 100 games, and that really made me want to do a list of the things that helped me climb the most. I know the struggle of climbing, and I know how hard it can be to climb sometimes in TFT. Hopefully this list will help you reach a little higher rank towards the end of the set. The things I go over in this video are fundamentals that can be applied to any set, meaning you're also going to be able to use them for the upcoming set 7. Let's get into it. These are my 5 best tips for climbing in TFT. Tip number 1. Play for a top 4. For this one, we need to look at LP gains based on placement. These values are average and higher elo, masters and above, but they might be higher or lower depending on your MMR. As you can see here, the biggest gain that we can get is actually turning a 5th into a 4th. That's the biggest leap we can get between placements. Which is why your main concern when loading into a game should be getting that top 4. Once the top 4 is secured, you can start looking to place higher from there. But how do we actually play for a top 4? First off, pick combat augments over econ augments. It's gonna save you a lot of HP early and mid game, and you're also gonna raise the cap of your final board. Slam your items as early as possible. Well, I mean, not if they're complete garbage, but they don't have to be perfect. BAS doesn't mean best in slot, it means best in situation. You gotta work with what you got. And slamming your items early is definitely gonna help you secure that top 4. Hit 20 gold on 2-6. Most games I bought 4 in, I don't manage to do this. Early econ is so important. That money snowball needs to get rolling early to get big. Play your strongest board. Knowing how to play a strong and cheap board will save you a lot of health and econ. This one comes with practice, learning new combinations of items, units and augments. But just playing around upgraded units and slamming your items early is gonna get you a long way. And finally, rolling at 6, 7 and 8 until you're strong enough to face the lobby also really helps with securing that top 4. Stop greeding for the level 9 and roll before you take some bad losses. Tip 2. Play with flex. Playing flexibly doesn't necessarily mean that you need to know how to play every single comp in the game. I don't think anybody does that, and I think on a lot of patches that would be complete overkill. What I want you to do is pick 4 to 5 comps that you're comfortable with and play the hell out of them, and then flex between those comps. They just need to have some items in common. For example, if you go for bow sword opener, you can play around 80 items and then you can flex between Draven, Jhin and Strikers. Or if you go for tier or rod opener, you can play around AP items and then you can flex between Ahri, Enchanters and AP Innovator. I think the best way of learning a comp is to just hard force it, like just only look for those units. Try and do this for a couple of games. Your scores are probably going to be a little rough at first, but this way you'll quickly learn the ins and outs of the comp and you'll learn which items, augments and units fit into the comp and overlap with other comps as well. Playing flexibly means tuning your playstyle on the go and adapting to the current situation you're in. And making the right decision based on your current spot in the game is no easy task at all. It takes practice and a lot of mental power. But this next tip can definitely help you make your decisions a little easier. Tip 3. Study the game. TFT is 50% playing the game and 50% game knowledge. Read up, watch guides, mess around on LoL Chess Builder, and watch other people play. And make the occasional trip to tactics.tools to get a read on what's broken and what's not. I mean, let's be real, just by being here, you're already giving yourself a huge advantage over the other players. Your knowledge is your biggest weapon. Stay curious, and don't be afraid to test out stuff in your own games, even if it means taking an occasional 8th or 2. Remember, LP is fleeting, but your fundamentals and your knowledge will stay with you forever. Tip 4. Take breaks. So let me ask you a question. Has this ever happened to you? You played backfoot one game, and then the next game you still kinda want to backline your tanks? Or did you ever play Pandoras in one game, and then the next game you feel like you can't leave your items on the bench without them being reforged? This usually happens when you queue up too quickly for the next game. You tunnel vision and your brain still clings to factors and information that made a difference in the last game. But this is not the same game, and you need an open mind and fresh mentality to get the most out of it. TFT is a game about creative problem solving, but if you queue up too many times too fast, your creativity and your ability to see the game clearly, it's gonna get worn out, I'm telling you. And that's gonna have a negative impact on your LP and your climb overall. You hear streamers complain about this all the time, myself included, that once the stream is live, there's a substantial dip in performance. And I'm convinced that this can be attributed to the lack of breaks between games. So after that thick dub, take a break. Look at pictures of cats. Knit some mittens for your kittens. Watch a bunch of paint dry. It's up to you. Whatever you choose makes you see the game with fresh eyes, prevents tunneling, and opens up your potential to get another thick dub. Tip 5. Abuse the meta. Okay, so being a flexible player also means flexing around the meta, and the current meta is very balanced. That's usually what we see towards the end of the set. They finally get the balance right just for it to be trashed going into the next set. But this also means that the current meta rewards flexible play to a higher degree, so being able to play several comps is definitely a plus right now on the current patch. But on some patches, some units are going to be significantly stronger than others. You definitely want to play around that and default towards those units more often. But abusing the meta can also mean something completely else. It can also mean going against the meta. I'll give you an example. Sivir is strong now, but a couple of patches ago she was completely broken and everybody would be hard forcing it. I'm talking 4 Irelia Sivir players in every lobby, and it was very hard to hit these units. So instead, I played a bunch of Draven and Jhin, hit those units so easily, and I got loads of easy top 4s out of it. If you can apply this mentality to future patches, you're gonna have a big edge on all the other players in your lobbies. And that's it guys, 5 quick tips on how to climb. If you end up using these in your own games, consider subscribing. It's totally free and it helps me out a lot. Good luck on the climb, and I'll see you in the next one.